Hey everybody, welcome back to Grow Leafy. I'm Alethea, and today we are going to talk about composting. It is going to be a quick, simple, short to the point type video, why I like composting and the 3 reasons why I think you should too. Composting, very important thing, I think, as a gardener, and a way to take your gardening to the next level. So we started composting last year. We actually bought a tumbler from a pawn shop, and we found it was only for $25. It was a really large compost tumbler, and I will post a picture here for you to see. But we started composting, and we were using our kitchen scraps, our grass clippings, leaves, twigs, anything brown, and any nitrogen type of materials, green material that you can use to put in the composter. And so that last year was our first time trying it out. So we're like, let's see if this thing is going to be worth it. And we did a lot of reading. I read a lot of articles. I watched a lot of videos on YouTube, and I heard about composting, but I just really wasn't sure how to do it and to get the balances of it. So we continually tried and tried and tried, and it ended up turning out pretty much okay, where we were actually able to use some of our compost this year. It wasn't one of those composting type situations where we were able to compost it and use it within 3 months. We knew that it was going to take us some time because we were learning, and we are still learning. And so this year I just decided that, you know, as our garden space is growing, we're going to need more compost material, because composting, #1 tip is that it is free. So what is that? It is free. You don't have to pay for twigs and leaves and pieces of mulching grass and things that you might find outside. And if you don't have it in your backyard, just go to your neighbors or ask a friend and just ask, hey, can I clean up your yard? And as well, take along your leaves, the twigs, the grass clippings, these kinds of things. If you're a coffee drinker, you know, that coffee grinds and anything that you would just dump and throw away, you can use that in your composter. Your coffee filters. So any of maybe even your neighbor's scraps that they may not be using, you can put that into your compost bin as well. Just do a little bit of research. Find out the things that you can compost, what you should not. We even went to a friend's house, and we knew that they had chickens, and we said, can we please have your chicken manure, because we like to compost that as well. So you might know somebody in the community that has chickens that would be willing for you to be able to clean up and take some of that manure so that you can compost it. So #1, it is free. It doesn't cost anything besides buying the material of the composter. Now, compost bins can be very expensive and very pricey, in the hundreds, and that is not something that we were trying to do. We were trying to find compost bins for very inexpensive, because we did not want this to become an expensive thing. And so we found something this year called the Geobin compost tumbler. It is pretty much a high grade of a material that it's flat, and then then you clip it together and assemble it, and it's really simple. I will add the link in my in the box below. I will add the link in the description box. We actually got it off of Amazon, and we paid $38 for it, and it was really simple. It just came rolled up like a flat piece of material, and it just came rolled up, and then we unrolled it and we laid it out in the sun for a few hours just so that it could just loosen up, and then we just clipped it together. That's all. It was one piece. Very simple. I actually set it up by myself, but then my husband helped me put everything together with the whole setup, which I'm going to show you. So #1, composting, it is free. #2, composting is simple. It is very simple. If I was able to set up something like this myself, then I know that you can too. It is very simple. This took me no time to set it up, and I will show you. All right, so the third thing before I show you this compost bin, The third thing about composting, my tip is that it will make your soil healthier and richer. It is so good for the soil, and your garden and your plants will love you. If you want to be able to have nutritious soil from the earth and use what's in this earth that's already provided to us for free, use it. It is there for us. Then sending it out to a landfill, sending it out to someplace else, and who knows what that's going to be used for. Why not use what you already have in your own communities to add into your garden to enrich the soil? The worms love it. The insects love it. Oh my goodness, the birds love it, because then they want to pick out some of the worms as well. So it is wonderful for the ecosystem. It all works together in the cycle of gardening, and just the cycle of just how nature works is such a beautiful and a wonderful, interesting thing. So I really think that if you are gardening and if you're really considering it, that you really should look into composting. You can start very simple. You don't have to spend a lot of money. If it is a bucket that you need to use, then start with the bucket. I know I've tried that even a few years ago where we were living prior to. I even tried it with the little bucket. Simple things that you can do. So let me go ahead and show you what we've done with our compost bin. This Geobin is really cool. It was very easy to set up. It's very sturdy, especially once you put all the material in here. It becomes very secure and very sturdy. It really keeps it in place. But I'm going to show you how we actually reinforced it, because at first you might be thinking, well, how are you able to really keep it secure? Because it was flip-floppy, but it was still secure. It just needed the material inside of it. The supports that we added in here are metal stakes. I don't know if you can see one over here. This is a metal stake. It is about 2.5 to 3 feet tall. And I actually bought them from Menards. And they cost about, I think they're about $4 a piece. There are other types of stakes that you can actually use. There are other ones that cost about $2. They're not metal. There are garden stakes. There are different things that you can use. You don't have to pick this one. This is a one that we picked and we chose, and it worked out pretty great, and it is keeping it in place. There are 6 of them in here. So that is an additional cost. It is not required for these bins. It is not something that Geobin, when I read up on their material, said that you have to have that. Pretty much when you put the material in there, it is secure. But I just wanted to add an extra level of support to this bin. So inside of it, basically I set it up like a lasagna. So the bottom layer at the bottom, all the way at the bottom, there was about 4 inches of like branches and twigs and leaves and things like that. And then we saved our grass clippings that we had in a big, large waste container. So we put our grass clippings in here, about 2 inches of that. And then we put some soil. And then I also had, I had pine needles and leaves that were just sitting in a pile from last year. And it was just sitting there. And I was like, let's put that in the compost bin, because you need to have brown and green, more browns, because if you have too much greens, the nitrogen, it will start stinking and smelling. If you've ever smelled grass that was freshly cut and just sitting there for days, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. So that brown just really helps to balance it out, and you should not have those terrible smells. If you have terrible smells like that, then your compost materials are not balanced, and you need to probably add some more browns. And then also you need water, to add some water to the compost as well, to moisten it up, to get it activating. And then you add more brown materials, and you just keep doing that. So as you're adding your kitchen scraps into the compost, you don't want to just leave it on the top as well. You want to make sure that you're putting browns on top of it, and then you might need to add some water to get it activating as well. But you don't want to just leave it out, because especially if your compost bin is open, which mine, I am putting a tarp over it because I do not want any animals crawling into it and getting stuck into it, or even trying to live in it. So I'm going to create some kind of cover that's gonna be fastened onto here, but right now I'm using a tarp temporarily. But you want to make sure that you are covering up your kitchen scraps so that it is able to break down properly, and so that it also protected from any, it's not also drawing other unnecessary animals to it. And then at the bottom, because the bottom of this Geobin is actually completely open, and so I came up with the idea of putting a pallet down. The pallet, I had two ideas: putting the pallet down or doing it without the pallet. And I may try it the next time without the pallet. I'm just gonna see how this works first. I put the pallet down because I want to make sure that there was air coming in through underneath it, because compost bins need aeration, okay? So they need that air also to help. And so I just figured that if I had it lifted, then air could come in from under. The air is coming through the holes, and the air is coming through the bottom. And then the chicken wire that is down here is going to prevent any kind of animals that would try to work their way into the compost bin. That was important to me, and that's why I added that down there as well. But next time I may possibly just take the bin and put it on the ground, but still put the chicken wire on the ground so that the earthworms and any other insects that need to crawl into the compost bin to help break it down can do it much easier. So I'm not sure how many worms I'm going to get in here. Maybe they might work their way up, crawl, but you know, I don't know how badly worms want to crawl up dry wood. And that is pretty much it. And I'm going to cover it with a tarp. I'm going to continue filling this so that it can be ready. I'm hoping that a lot of this matter can break down for the fall, when I'm getting close to winter time, to really cover my raised beds, get them set for the season so that they can just sit. I really want this to break down so that I can set all this into the raised beds, let them sit and continually break down over the winter. I hope that this video was inspiring to you, and that you will just try composting, even if it is just a very simple way of doing it. Please post any comments or questions. I'm not an expert on composting, but it is something that I am learning and that I am enjoying, and I am really encouraging others that are into gardening to do the same. So please feel free to make any comments, and also subscribe to my channel if you have not, and share this video with someone else, and press the like button, and just remember to grow leafy, and I will see you next time.